Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Gameday All Access on the Gameday Broadcast Network. I'm Andy Hayes. We hope you enjoy our new format this year, a couple different changes. We'll be going around with our interviews across the region, across the state, with all sorts of exciting people here joining us on a weekly basis. We're changing things up, refreshing the weekly show that we do, and as the season goes on, we'll have more and more that you can enjoy right here online at GameDayMagazine.com. With that said, full show today. Stay tuned for head coach Mike Burnett from Tuscarora joining us. We'll also have a segment with all our guys who are calling the big games coming up here Friday night. That will be up here. That's going to be called the Blitz. So we'll get a little breakdown coming up of the big matchups here. But with that said, I'd like to welcome in my Game of the Week colleague and partner in crime, Chris Bourassa'. Chris is the first guest here today on the all-new Gameday All Access. And Chris, I know that's a big honor for you. You took a couple minutes out of your day just to do that, right?
Well, thanks for having me, Andy. It's good to talk to you. Missed being with you on Friday night, but
yeah,
not only am I the first guest, I'm probably the first one that you've talked to sitting in the press box at Centreville High School waiting for the Broad Run Centreville Game of the Week this Friday night.
Yeah, I got the Broad Run helmet right here on my desk, and I knew you were already there. I hope you're keeping the place ready to go for us here. We'll be there on Friday. Let's start with, before we get into that game and the thoughts here on that one, let's start with the Game Day Power Poll this week. I think that you're one of the more outspoken guys when it comes to telling us if our rankings are anywhere close to being accurate here. We just saw our number one team fall out from that top spot, Westfield getting beat by South County. How surprised were you with that result here on last Friday night?
Well, I'm not that surprised, frankly. I mean, South County, strong team. They've been building up. They were one of the top-ranked teams coming into the year. We thought they were going to be strong. Westfield was missing some of their top players. I don't know if they may meet again later in the season. Might go a different way, but I wasn't really surprised that South County won. I wouldn't have been surprised if Westfield had won either. I mean, both of them, I think, are top teams in the area and are contenders to win Division 6 North. Definitely this year.
Well, tell me if you agree with how we have our top five. Let's just look at the top five of our power poll here, and it starts with Lake Braddock. Are you in agreement with them being up there at the top spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've played Robert E. Lee, and they played Annandale, but they dominated both of them. Put 69 points up on Robert E. Lee, and they shut out Annandale last week. So a little stronger test this week with Robinson, but their crosstown rival. We've actually called a couple of those games over the years that have been just fantastic there in Burke. But I think there's no question Lake Braddock Bruins right now, with Westfield going down last week, are the number one team in the area.
Well, after going on the road and beating Hayfield, Tuscarora jumped up a spot to number 2 with Westfield getting beat. And they hold down the spot right behind Lake Braddock. And they have been on quite a tear in the regular season, having won, 17 straight games in the regular season. That's pretty impressive here for Coach Burnett's team the last couple of years. Your thoughts on the way they handled Hayfield and being ranked number 2?
Well, Hayfield has been pretty strong over the last few years, and going into unfamiliar, territory there, playing a team that, frankly, Tuscarora is not used to playing. They dominated them, beat them handily. And, we saw Tuscarora open the season and really play a solid game against Briar Woods. Right now, Division 5 in the north is in Loudoun County. It's Tuscarora, it's Briar Woods, it's Broad Run, it's Stonebridge. Stonebridge fell last week. And, Tuscarora right now is clearly the top team in that group, and doesn't surprise me a bit that they went and handled Hayfield.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the top five. We've got at number 3, South County. That big win against Westfield kind of keeps them right in the top 3. My thoughts on South County, Chris, after watching them, is a very, very good football team. The one difference between this year's South County team compared to prior years is I think their defense is a lot better. And Kevin Allen, the middle linebacker, led the way last week against this Westfield offense, and they really shut the run down. Now, again, we talked about Westfield minus some guys, but I really felt like they're just better defensively than they have been in years past. So that gives them a chance there to be a little bit better toward the end of the season, in my opinion. Now, behind them, it's Centreville, and then at number 5, Battlefield. How do you like those teams rounding out the 5?
Well, Centreville is clearly one of the top teams and will continue to be, I think, as long as Coach Haddock is there. They got a great feeder system. They got great coaches working there. They're going to have. They got numbers in the school, and the top athletes want to come out and play football now at Centreville. And so I think they're going to stay in the top 5 all year. It's going to be, frankly, I think you mentioned Battlefield. I think it's going to be between Battlefield, Centreville, South County, and Westfield for. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the Final Four in Division 6 North. And they're going to have a test this week, though. I mean, Broad Run is playing very, very well. Broad Run's going to go down to Centreville, and I think we're going to see an outstanding game between those two teams. It's really going to tell us something about both of those teams this Friday night.
Yeah, you mentioned Tuscarora kind of being the leader of the pack, but really Broad Run quietly starting to show themselves to be one of the more elite athletic teams in the area. Last week had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. They had an interception return for a touchdown. They've got some real talent. Chris Moore, Meech Embry, Jaleel Robinson. Sorry. I mean, you talk about the guys that are getting it done for them. Kyle Brickard at quarterback. I mean, they've got a pretty nice little nucleus there. What are your expectations of this game with Centreville? How will it go here on Friday night?
I think it's going to be very tight. In fact, you and I talk every week about what we think is the best game to do, and I asked you, did you think Broad Run had a chance? And you said, yeah, they got a chance. And so, well, we got to go do that game then, because Broad Run's got as you mentioned, a lot of very good athletes. We followed Meech Embry. I mean, he just jumped out at us as a sophomore, and he's just continued to get better every year. Now he's contributing on both sides of the ball, and you put that in a good structured system like they have with Coach Griffiths, I think they're going to go up. And if Centreville isn't ready for them, is overlooking them, they could lose that ball game. They better be prepared, and I believe Coach Haddock will have them prepared. But I think we're going to see a close ball game. And if we have this conversation next week and Broad Run finds a way to win that game, and you ask me, am I surprised? I won't be completely surprised because they are playing so well.
Well, I agree with you. I think this is a big game for Broad Run, bigger than I think even some of the other games that they're going to face the 5A opponents in Briar Woods next week, and then Tuscarora and Stonebridge. I think if you beat at Centreville on the road, and you said it earlier off the air, you said, look, you don't just roll into Centreville and beat Centreville. If you're good, then you can do something like that. So that'll say a lot about how good Broad Run is coming up here this week. Chris, one more question for you before we get to a final thought here. The teams right now that are on the bubble in our power poll, you've got the likes of Westfield and Stonebridge. They've dropped out after that early season loss. John Champ, Heritage is off to a great start, and Madison. Of those 5, which one of those bubble teams makes a move into the top 10 here coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I gotta, I love what is happening at Champ and at Heritage. They're both, an up and coming programs. They've got great coaches that are committed to building those programs, and we're starting to see, what they can do. But Madison, to me, coming off a win against Stonebridge, and they play Stonebridge tough all the time, but coming off a win against a Stonebridge club that we thought was, going to be one of the top teams in the area. If they can pick up and build on that, they could be a team that goes on a run. We looked at their schedule. They got a few tough spots, but they could make a nice run and jump in there if they build on that momentum from last week's win.
Well, Chris, as always, it's great to talk to you, man. I'm looking forward here to Friday night with you down at Centreville High School. We love going to check out the Wildcat Nation, don't we?
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. And, hey, I love the new format of the show and look forward to talking to you next week as we go over, what happened. A lot of good games this week. It should be fun.
Yeah, it should be. All right, buddy. Thanks for joining us here. We'll talk soon. That's Chris Bourassa, my color commentator here on the Game of the Week. Make sure you tune in on Friday night. Chris and I will have the call for you. Should be a great game. Broad Run and Centreville coming up here on Friday in our feature ball game. With that said, we'll step aside for a quick break. We'll leave you with some sights and sounds and some thoughts from the South County players and coaches here after that big win last week against Westfield.
So we came in here knowing they're a good team. It's a bunch of big boys. They play some hard football. Pretty tough. We just came in here. We game planned. Our coaches gave us a pretty good game plan how to stop them. We came in here knowing they're going to be a good team. Play some downhill football. It was whoever's more aggressive who wants it more.
Boost our confidence all the way up. Just know we can beat anybody.
Puts a big statement out for us. We've been working since November for all these games. We're ready.
Just being able to gut through some tough situations. I mean, they moved the ball a little bit, and we were able to, when it was time for a gut check, they came through and played, and that's the kind of things you want, and hopefully we keep improving defensively.